I'm Karen Ramsey of SuperHealthyChildren.com and the New Jersey Raw Food Support Network. And this is my son, Marco Ramsey. Today, we thought we would talk about raw vegan versus cooked whole foods vegan. And what are the differences and why we prefer one or the other. It's not a really clear line all the time about which one is better. And so, Marco, you were raised on a vegan and then raw vegan lifestyle. You, at 3 years old, healed from asthma and chronic ear infections because of going to green juicing and fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, sprouts, all the wonderful foods of a raw food lifestyle. You've changed over the years. Mm-hmm. And can you talk about the changes that you've made and where you are now and what your current views are related to raw versus cooked vegan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said, that was how my early childhood was. We were vegetarian when I was born, but then I had health issues with asthma and ear infections, and that's when you started juicing me, and I basically stayed raw vegan for the next 7 years after that, more or less. Obviously, once I became older and had more freedom and was out of the house more, I became more curious with what my friends were eating. So during my teenage years and high school years, because I was homeschooled, I chose to be homeschooled throughout high school instead of going to school. But I still kind of count them as my high school years because I was with all my friends who went to high school. I was vegan or vegetarian for most of those, and experimenting and just being curious as a teenager, trying different things. And once I went to college, I kind of kept eating the same way, and towards the end of my time at college, my junior, senior year, that's when I started eating meat for the first time. And I did that for 2 years, and then once I graduated college, I started to pick up an interest in nutrition because I wasn't feeling so good, and I finally had the time to reflect and actually realize that I wasn't feeling too good, whereas in college I was constantly moving around and wasn't really in tune with my body. So after I graduated, I was able to rediscover that intuition, and I became more intrigued in nutrition in general and just about veganism as well, not just the nutrition part, the animal part, the environment section as well. So once I did that, then I became vegan again, but for myself. And ever since then, really, I've been mostly high raw. Yeah, basically high raw since then, so the last 5 years of my life.
And then you've had some periods where you have been totally raw also.
Yeah, absolutely. There are times, like the first time I think I went to the Woodstock Fruit Festival, as in preparation, I wanted to be raw leading up to that, just because I hadn't, at that point I wasn't raw for a significant amount of time, in a really long time. But yeah, there's certain times of the year where raw food attracts me more, and it feels better for me to eat. It feels more natural. Even, which was kind of strange, was this past winter. Usually in the winter I feel like I need more cooked foods because you don't have the abundance of fruit that you do during the summertime. But this winter, for some reason, I just really felt the calling to eat a bunch of fruit and be raw. So I was for a month or two, and I felt great.
Mm-hmm. You ate fruit, and you ate a lot of other things too. You had a very varied diet, lots of greens also.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And so you're feeling right now, like for me, I choose to stay totally raw. I've been totally raw since 1994 when Marco healed from asthma, because that just really spoke to me. And there's many different ways of doing raw. It can be confusing to many people. Sometimes the word itself is confusing. You could be raw eating raw packaged foods, which certainly wouldn't be very healthy. You could be raw eating like raw agave, which is not a healthy product. So I choose to be fresh food, whole food, raw, where everything that I eat is really whole. I don't eat any even processed raw foods, other than blending or putting something in the food processor. And that's how I feel best, and that's how I have the best energy. And I can compare that because earlier when I was eating more in the way of cooked food, even when it was cooked food vegan, I did not have the same energy level. And as I'm getting older, that becomes even more important to me. And also with women's health issues. As a woman, growing into my older years, in my 60s, I am experiencing the energy that I want and the health that I want. And if it was different, maybe I would look into other ways of eating, but I stay with raw because I feel that it has extreme benefits in many areas. And so can you tell me I know that your diet is still mostly raw.
Yep.
It's mostly raw, like you're eating raw all day. And then some days it is fully raw. And like today, I think you had a fully raw day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then there's some days where you have some cooked whole food vegan food. Can you tell our audience what you choose to eat that's cooked?
Absolutely. Well, when I'm in the house, I definitely have the luxury of sprouting my own beans, which I've been doing recently to make them a lot more digestible and you get a lot more of the nutrients out of it when you sprout them. You're basically bringing them back to life. You're removing a lot of the lectins from the beans, which prevents certain nutrients from being absorbed. So I've enjoyed doing that. I've never really done that before until recently, and that has been a really good addition to my diet. Some people digest beans better than others, and certain ones, like you might digest chickpeas or garbanzo beans really well, but not so much kidney beans or whatever the case is. My dad is Colombian, so I feel like I have that Latino gene that makes me that gives me the ability to digest beans better, but even still I like sprouting the beans and bringing them back to life. There's something about them, seeing the sprouts on them, and I don't know.
And we have some growing over here.
Yeah, you could go grab them and you could show them what I've been doing in that regard. Besides the beans too, I mean, I'm not super into grains. I go through phases, but if I do have grains, it'll be something like quinoa. That's kind of my go-to grain whenever I do feel like having some sort of grain.
And it's actually a seed.
Oh, well there you go.
Actually
It's not a grain? Okay, cool. There you go. And besides that, I like steaming vegetables for the most part. That's one of the things that I enjoy about eating some cooked food, is because I'm able to, it opens up more doors when it comes to whole plant foods, because as a raw foodist, you're not really going to be eating Brussels sprouts or too much cauliflower, or broccoli, or sweet potato.
Oh, I eat a lot of cauliflower.
A lot? I don't know about a lot. Or it's easier. It's easier because you don't have to put it in a dish. You could just steam it up and it becomes a lot easier to ingest. So I like that for sweet potatoes, just potatoes in general. I really like steamed beets. Not to say you can't have it on a raw food diet. You absolutely can, but you'll have to process it in a different way. So I enjoy being able to steam vegetables. That's really the bulk of what I have here. I also enjoy eating some cooked food because I do like going out with my friends sometimes and having the options to find something there instead of just a salad. So just in general in the world, veganism has grown tremendously, whereas 5-10 years ago, finding a vegan option in a restaurant was really, really difficult. Where now there's usually at least a couple that you can choose from. And especially if I go out with some of my vegan friends and I go to a vegan-friendly place, and there's an entire menu. So I do like doing that, and just if I'm going out socially, there's usually some way where I could find something that is vegan that I'll enjoy.
Awesome. Well, you can make your own decision as far as how raw you want to go. I see more and more people who do want to go fully raw, and if you don't, you can still have a really healthy, high raw, whole food lifestyle like what Marco leads, and be nourishing yourself with, you know, a mostly raw day and, you know, maybe a cooked meal later on in the day, using things like, you know, sprouted beans and lots of steamed veggies, and always you have like that huge salad, which also having a big salad before any kind of a cooked meal, even a whole food cooked vegan meal, the salad helps the cooked food to digest better. So I hope that this was helpful information. Thank you for joining me, Marco.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay. Also, if you would like, subscribe and comment. We would love to see what you have to say about your own lifestyle. If a totally raw lifestyle benefits you most, or if there's ways that you've been able to integrate some whole plant cooked food and how you feel with it. So that would be great, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.